everybody, and welcome to the Zap Baseball. I am Nick Giamonte, and this is my bud Richie Pegnata. We're here to inform everyone about all baseball news, whether it's mostly Major League Baseball, but may tap into minor league baseball once in a while because you never know what could happen there. Who might come up, who might go down, unfortunately. This podcast we want, it doesn't matter what team you like. Maybe the Astros, no, I'm kidding. But
Oh, the
doesn't matter what
Astros.
team you like, who you don't like. This, podcast is all about baseball. It's not, geared towards one team, even though I do have a Yankee flag behind me and Yankee hat on. That's because I'm a big Yankee fan. But no, this isn't always going to be about the Yankees. I know Richie's a big Yankee fan also, but
Born and raised.
But no, we will talk about them a lot of times, but it's mostly all around Major League Baseball. So I don't want that to turn anyone off if like, oh, this is a Yankee podcast, I'm out. No, don't worry about that because it's not always going to be like that. Do you want to introduce yourself first, or
Yeah. All right. So,
tell them a little bit about yourself. Give them a little something.
all right, guys. What's up? I'm Richie. Like Nick said, I'm a Yankee fan, born and raised. Finished law school. Took the bar, passed that. So, next step's being a lawyer. And if things go right, hopefully I will be representing some young players one day. But, fingers crossed. See if that can happen. But yeah, like Nick said, we're a baseball podcast first and foremost. Like, we're gonna put our Yankee bias aside. Sorry, but that might come in a little bit with the Red Sox and the Astros. But
Yeah.
We'll try to keep it as civil as we can when we're talking about them. Like Nick said, we're going to talk about Major League Baseball, minor league baseball. I'm going to look into some of the more legal aspects of what's going on with the CBA, lockouts, holdouts, contract situations, what's going on right now. Like, why isn't there baseball and into June 2nd? Like, what's going on with that? The effects of COVID, how contracts work, how player salaries work, about why there isn't a salary cap and why there's a luxury tax and how that works. But we're going to try to keep it open mind. So, like Nick said, don't turn us off because you see the Yankee stuff. It's just where we're from, where we're raised, and what we love.
The banner may change once in a while, so
Yeah, we got some stuff in the works. So hopefully,
in the works.
we can both get that. And, we're not always going to be doing this. Like, we're split screening like right now.
Yeah, this is just due to COVID, but eventually, he will be sitting, depending on what side of the screen he's on, he's going to be here or here eventually.
Yeah, we'll have a nice little backdrop for everybody to be happy with.
Yeah, this is just for now. I don't know how long this will be, but, it still works. We still can talk to each other. We can still talk about baseball. That's what's important.
Exactly. But yeah, so this is our first episode, everybody. So, woo!
Yeah, welcome.
Woo! Welcome, everybody. I hope you guys all enjoyed as much as we enjoyed doing it.
Exactly. You're all probably wondering, too. It's like, why do you guys have a baseball podcast right now if there's not even any baseball going on? Because we love baseball so much. And it will come back,
Oh, yeah,
eventually.
100%.
I mean, say God forbid it's not this year, it will come back next year. And we're still going to continue whether it's playing right now or not, because there's still plenty to talk about in the world of baseball.
Yeah, so much.
So,
all right, let's just jump right in with it,
Yeah, we definitely had a lot of topic points we want to talk about for our first show. Even though these topic points might last a couple of shows, because it still is a current thing of why the season hasn't started yet, or when will it start. Also, we are weekly. These videos will be posted at 10:30 every Wednesday morning on YouTube. We're working on getting onto Spotify and a bunch of other different platforms. So if you want to go and you don't have time to watch us, don't be scared, because we will have the audio posted on different platforms. So you can just plug in, listen in your car.
Yeah, whenever and wherever you can listen to us. I know that's what everybody wants to hear early in the morning. Me and Nick's lovely voices.
Exactly. Exactly. Also, too, if there's anything you guys want to hear, message us on our social media platforms. We have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have Facebook right now. I know Richie wants to do a TikTok one day, so
yeah, we're gonna make great baseball TikToks.
We're gonna make yeah. So definitely message us, leave a comment on our post saying like, hey, can you talk about this? Can you guys forgot to bring this up last week about this player or this team, this organization, what's going on, this contract? Just let us know, and we'll definitely talk about it next week too.
Yeah, we're open for any and all suggestions. So
Yeah,
That being said,
even if our audio sucks 1 week, just let us know. I mean, I'm
oh
in
yeah,
the
please
works of
no.
an audio change,
Yeah,
but
no, we're working with new mics. We don't really, at least I have no idea how they work. But
my new mic is just taking a dump on me, so that's why I haven't been using it. This one works fine. This is fine.
yeah,
So, all right, do you want to talk about the first topic of our first episode?
yeah, let's just get right into it. So, what's going on with baseball? It's June 2nd. There's no baseball, and in order to get baseball back, we have to go into spring training again. So, the MLB, the owners, and the MLB PA, the Players Association, have begin negotiations to get the season back up and running. So, I believe it was middle or early last week, the owners came out with a proposal saying that they'll do an 82 game season, but they're going to further slash player salaries that they had already agreed to back in March to like a 50-50 revenue split, which is how the majority of leagues work. And now they came back and they said, we want you to take less money because we didn't really do the math right the first time around. And because we're not going to have fans and we're not going to be selling food and drinks and memorabilia and this, and that, they're like, oh, we're not going to really make as much money as we thought. So we want you to pay the price and take less money. So that's unfortunate because players heard that through the Players Association, and the players were pissed off. They wanted nothing to do with it. There were a bunch of players who came out and said, if this is what they want to do, I don't even want to negotiate. And on the same breath, there's players who said, just cancel the season. Like this is you can't do this. This is our livelihood, and this is what it is. So luckily for us, the fans, the players did get back together and they did work out some kind of a tender that they want to present. So they're essentially asking for a 114 game season, which would start June 30th and go until October 31st, and then the postseason would start. And the postseason wouldn't be the typical 10 teams that we're now used to. It would be expanded to 14. They also asked for $100 million up front to pay for spring training and all that. And they also said, listen, like we know, like there's still got to be an all-star game. There's still got to be a home run derby. So they put in like some language saying, listen, like we'll work on that. Like we'll do that after the season. And when that comes down to it, that's them saving their own asses because there's so many of these players who have escalators in their contracts for being an all-star, for being the home run derby champion. They're all written into their contracts. So if there's no all-star game, no home run derby, like they're missing out on hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of dollars. Well, that was a fun proposal, and I thought it was great. The only thing I didn't think that was going to pass was the $100 million for spring training. But the owners came back today, and there's reports that they want to do a 50-game season now, and I don't know how that's going to go over. The only real way I can see that happening is if the owners are able to say that the 50 games is the only way possible to give them the $100 million up front and to not further cut salary. But if we're playing a 50-game season, not counting playoffs, like that's less than a third of what the season is. Like, I don't want to
I don't want to
do
see a
that.
50-game season. It's just going to be so disappointing. It's like, first of all, it's like, why can't you just, what happened to the 82 game, or even with the Players
Yeah,
Association brought back to like the 112, 114,
114.
114. What's wrong with that? I mean, that's perfect. That's okay. We're losing what, 50 games at that point, opposed to losing 110 games that
Yeah.
they brought back. What's the point of a 50-game season? What is? I understand that at this point you want to see baseball, but what are you watching it for? You're watching it just to watch, play 50 games, and then that's it. See you guys in the spring. There's no playoffs. Whereas
Ridiculous.
you can play 112 games. It goes up until October 31st, and then hey, look, you can have baseball on Thanksgiving, which will be the first time ever.
Be
And
weird.
if you,
Have
if
baseball
you,
on Christmas.
yeah, if you have teams that don't have indoor stadiums, like the Yankees, the Dodgers, or like Minnesota, they say they make it to the World Series, and you know what? Change it up, do kind of like a Super Bowl type of thing, where every year the stadium changes. I mean, only do it for this year, but have them
It's
play.
too late to do that though.
Have them play in an inside stadium in December for like the World Series or something.
Maybe. I mean, honestly, I like the original whole thought process of what was going on back in March.
The 82 games,
April.
yeah.
No, not even that. Where they keep the games down in Florida and Arizona. They're keeping the spring training facilities, and you completely realign the divisions, which I do think needs to be done in the next few years. But I mean, I'm all for watching the Yankees play the Phillies and the Mets like a bunch this year. I hate the Phillies.
I've always wanted the Yankees to play the Mets more anyway. Because
Yeah, I mean,
do
you
you
get
remember when
5
the
or 6
Subway?
games a year. That's not enough.
But the Subway series used to be longer than 2
Yeah.
games a series. They used to be like 3 games a long time ago, and all of a sudden they just changed it to where the Yankees only playing the Mets 4 times a year.
They play twice a year. I mean, they get the 4 games at Citi Field and then 2 games at Yankee Stadium, and that's what it's been like the last 3 years, which is a little BS.
No,
But
I think that they should play them more. I mean, come on.
yeah, I think 100%.
I mean, do the Dodgers play the Angels?
Each other.
Do the Dodgers and the Angels play each other a lot?
Probably not, just because they're NL and AL.
I guess that's true too. But
Oakland play a lot. They're both California.
I don't know. I just want to see the Yankees play. I want to see the Yankees play the Mets a little bit more.
I mean, I would love that.
Even just one more series would be great.
Yeah, it would be. That's all we're asking.
Have one in the beginning of the year, one around before or after the All-Star break, and then one in like September.
Hell, the way the schedule was already made, the Yankees only play the Astros twice this year.
It's towards the end of the year. Oh no, there was one series
at the end of the season and the beginning. No, middle of the season and the end of the season. And
yeah, we were supposed to play them already a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
and the last time was all the way in September. And I'm sure again in the playoffs because, regardless of what Houston has done in the past, they still are a good team.
Yeah, they're still a solid team, top to
bottom.
They're
still a solid, good team. So either way, they're still going to be in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
They cheated or not, they were still in there.
Yeah, they'll still make it.
Yeah, them cheating, helped, but that's a different topic for another day.
I mean, we'll talk about that, about the playoffs, but not right now.
No, that's a different subject.
But yeah, so I would like to see that original thought process come back, that, we realigned the leagues, we just play the games, no fans, down in Florida, in Arizona, and then go from there. That way, if we are playing in November and December, you can use one of those stadiums. Like, they're not – I mean, we're still probably not going to have fans at that point, so you don't have to worry about fitting in 50,000 fans. You can use the stadium. I mean, maybe you push the outfield walls back a little bit, but I don't even think they need to do that.
I don't think they need to do it. I think it's just play as is.
Exactly. So it'll suck for the cities and the teams that aren't in Arizona and Florida. Like, those teams and the employees are out of a job for a year. Like, that's awful. And nobody wants to talk about that, but they're out of a job right now. And this is the talk with them possibly playing back in their hometown, the home city. So unfortunately, there's still a lot to get worked out. And the date that I keep hearing is June 10th, June 10th, June 10th. They want everything up and running.
Well, that's why they want spring training to restart again. Well, second spring training, because they were
2.0.
We were almost done with spring training. Like there was a week left until the season started, and then everything got shut down.
Yeah, so how long? Got to readjust their bodies and
of course, you can't just hop into the season because then you're gonna have what the Yankees had last year on every other team. You're gonna have just people getting hurt left and right, and that's not right because then you just don't want to see that again.
Yeah.
But how long do they do spring training for? Do they do it for a week, 2 weeks? Do they do it up until July?
So what I saw was that with the players' proposal, it would just be the rest of June, and then start the end of June, June 30th or July 1st, baseball's back. I just need baseball back, man. I miss it. I need some kind of sport.
One of the one sports that I just love to watch. I mean, yeah, every sport right now is shut down, but of course,
Listen, I love Jokers, but I can only watch it so much. They just keep playing replays.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've been watching Always Sunny. All the F is for Family comes back next week, so excited about that. So shout out to Bill Burr.
Wait, you said it comes back next week?
Yeah, season 4 drops next week.
Awesome. Yeah, I just started Space Force with Steve Carell on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pumped. It's pretty funny already.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's really pretty much what's been going on. A lot of struggles. I just saw an article saying, like, baseball is having a lot harder time than NBA to come back. And that is the truth because you're having the conflict between the owners and the players on, I'm not going to be honest with you, some of the players are being way too greedy. Like, I get it. You signed a contract for $32 million, and the owners want to pay you this year $8 million out of that $32 million.
You signed that contract, you earned every dime of that contract. Like, you want to get paid that. And, it's really unfortunate how the owners went about it. I think if they did equal cuts across the landscape, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But the fact of the matter is that you're taking a guy, let's say Garrett Cole, $35 million a year. You're cutting that down to 8. That's a lot. That's a $27 million loss. And listen, like, I'm not going to cry left and right because these guys don't have money. They're millionaires. They make bank. But still, like, I mean, you finally earned that. He wasn't making $35 million a year before he came to the Yankees. And you finally get there. You can taste it, and it's so sweet and so great.
Yep.
Now you're getting told, oh, no, we were going to give you half, but now we're going to give you half of half. Like, how's that fair? You're getting a quarter of your salary. It makes no sense.
But, is it fair for people who, a lot of people, the 32 million people who lost their jobs are on unemployment, is it fair for them to hear a Major League Baseball player who makes $30-something million a year complain that they're only making $8 million a year?
It's like Chipper Jones says. Like, there's 30 million people unemployed right now.
Yeah, shut up.
Bitching about $30 million that they're not.
You had Blake Snell, right, from the
Tampa.
The Rays. He was saying stuff about it, how he doesn't want to play if he's getting a salary cut. He also did mention, like, is it safe enough to play? But then you have Bryce Harper who's coming out like, yeah, Blake, he's right. I'm not saying the right name, Blake Snell, right?
Yeah, it's Blake Snell. He's on Tampa, not.
That's what I'm saying. I got confused for a second. Yeah, they're both saying it's like, just shut up already. Just shut up. Like, there's no need to flex about the contract that you were supposed to be getting and the contract you're still getting. It's for 1 year. They're not saying this is the new. They're not saying your entire contract on the team has to change. It's saying for this year only, you're only making $10 million instead of $40 million. It's like you're still making a lot of money.
Now, I understand the player's point, but they're shooting themselves in the foot. This isn't something that should be made public. Don't be going to media and saying, oh, it's really unfortunate if this season they want to cut my salary by so much, I'm not going to play. They're shooting themselves in the foot. Like, you want to do that? Talk to the NFLPA privately and let them know how disgusted you are with the owner's proposal. And that way, it's done behind closed doors. You don't have to worry about the media coming out. You don't have to worry about upsetting your fans. Like, when it comes down to it, kids, they don't understand. They don't know what's going on. They're kids. No. But, the average Joe, a 40-year-old dude who's, like, struggling right now due to Corona, who, like, can't work as much as he used to or is getting his pay slashed, he doesn't want to hear you're still going to get almost $10 million a year. Just for the year. And,
also, we're not going to just be biased on one side. There are greedy owners out there too.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I saw yesterday owners saying how, they might just save the money and cancel the whole season. That they have no problem doing that. And I think that's a minority, maybe like one or two. So it's a very small minority of owners. But I really don't think that'll work because the baseball will find a way to make money during this if there's no fans. I think you're going to start to see a lot more legalized gambling for teams, especially in states where it's legal. Like, I know the second that baseball comes back or basketball, whichever's first, like, jersey's going to be popping. People are going to be in and out of the sports book just putting money down on games just because they can. Mm-hmm. So many people who saved so much money during, like, these last 2-3 months with the stimulus check and everything else who had nothing to do or buy or spend on. Like, they have all this money. It's like, why not, like, try to double or triple this? Sports books are going to go off.
Yeah, well, think about it. Say it's a 50-game season. There's going to be bets going down. It's like, okay, how many games can the Dodgers win out of 50 games? How many games can the Yankees win? The Astros? Like, can there be a possible team that can go 40-10?
Yeah.
Or 45-5? It could happen. You never know. You can go on an insane hot streak. I'm not gonna sit here and say I guarantee you the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Astros are gonna win 50 games flat and that's it. It's not possible, but it could be. But it's not gonna happen.
What I do now that I think about it, the one thing that would be kind of cool about a 50-game season is every game counts. Like, I know there's that whole –
from the moment the season starts, every single game counts.
Yeah. And, there's that whole school of thought where people are like, oh, it's April games. They don't count. I mean, yeah, they count, but you still have 140 games over the next –
once the All-Star break kicks in, that's when it really – that's good. Because think about it, what happened to the Nationals last year when they were 50 games in. They were 13 – no, they were 19 and, like, 31.
Yeah.
And what happened? They came back to win the World Series.
Turned it on. Yeah.
They turned it on.
So
Once
I
that
just think it's
break comes
very
back, those are the games that matter.
yeah. I do think it would be very interesting. I mean, you look at football, let's look at college football. I mean, every game counts. If you don't go a perfect season, like you're not getting to a bowl game, and
No.
your draft stock is dropping. Unless you're Andrew Luck, who is Andrew Luck, but um, every game would count, and that would make the game so much more interesting. Baseball's been complaining for a long time that TV ratings are going down, 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 and they can't find a way to keep fans interested in the game anymore. I mean, you go to a game, the first inning, it's popping. People are going nuts. Like, hell, the first time around the order, everyone's going nuts. Everyone's having a great time. By the time everybody gets one at bat, the crowd's quiet.
Well,
Unless it's like
yeah.
the ninth inning, but
Mhm.
from like the second to the eighth inning, it's quiet.
Well, if
It's
you're not
not.
like a hardcore baseball fan, if you're not like dedicated to it, I know a lot of people who have told me like, look, I could like the Yankees and Mets, but I cannot sit through a 9 inning game.
Yeah,
I'm like, I understand that. I understand that the game could get boring. I mean, for me, that's never the case. I can sit there and watch the full game. I mean, like, say one team is blowing out another team like 15-0. Yeah, I understand that's
yeah,
boring. Like, you don't want to watch that. Like, once it hits 20-0, that's it. Like, you can turn the game off because you know you're not going to get a 15-21 comeback.
yeah.
I mean, there's been incidents where you get a 10-run comeback, but those
They're
are
few and far
situations where it
between.
gets boring. Yeah, but
Yeah,
like, that's why the ratings on TV go down because there's a lot of people who just can't sit and watch a game that long, and I
yeah. I
understand
mean,
that.
the modern person today, their attention span has just dropped. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't keep one. So to keep players engaged such a slow moving sport, it's very hard today. So I think in the future we're going to start to see a lot more sports betting like on TV where there was an app, but I forgot what it was. Maybe it was called Boom. I forgot exactly what it was called, but it was essentially that. It was bought out by FanDuel, I believe, and you would essentially bet on the play. Like for football, it was like, will the next play go for two or less yards, five or more yards? Will it be a touchdown? Will it be a sack? And it was like this crazy thing. I'm like, this is like too much for me to figure out. So I played it for like a little bit because it was free, but it was like this is the future. Like I saw right there, I'm like sports are going to change. Like especially baseball, where they struggle to keep people in the game. It's
Yeah.
not like it's soccer or hockey or basketball or football where it's constant. Something's going on. Like
Mm-hmm.
you got 30 seconds in between pitches. Then you got to pick off a guy, and then you pick him off again. Then you throw a ball. Then you pick off the guy
It's
again.
just a game about patience, and a
It's,
lot
it's
of people just don't have that.
Yeah, it's evolved. It's no longer this game, this past America's pastime where you put on the game, you have a beer, you sit with your kids and you watch it. It's turned into a chess match, and ever since what was it like this past decade where they introduced analytics, the game's changed. And I know a
Yep.
lot of people hate analytics, and I like them and I hate them. I want
Yeah,
to see.
it's split on it because there's situations where it works, and there's situations where you just have to, like Joe Girardi just goes with his gut,
Yeah, I hated
and that
Jordan, but
I know you, and like I don't know if he'll bring that to the Phillies or if
oh, he
he'll change
100%
that
will.
because Aaron Boone, he's analytical.
Yeah,
He's analytical.
Boone's been great. I love
Yeah,
Boone.
yeah, he's not. He doesn't really go by his gut. He knows if hey, I know this person at bat, how many homers or how they are against righties. I'm gonna go bring in a lefty.
I mean, yeah, but coaches have been doing that for years. This is
That's true.
more, launch angle, pitch velocity, bat, you hit the barrel of the ball, like the velocity that comes off of that,
Yeah.
angles and all that. And like honestly, like I thought about that stuff when I was like 12 years old. Then I said to myself, I'm like, why don't baseball teams bring in like physicists or scientists or whoever they are that works with angles? I'm like, you can make it so that every time you hit the ball, you hit it at this certain angle, pop, boom, it's a home run. No, not every time, but like, you know what I'm saying. And I just thought it was like so funny, like that's what happened. And I remember playing fantasy baseball, and I was like 14, and I had no idea what I was doing. And it was like one of those free ESPN leagues, so people probably dropped out. But I remember that I won for 2 years in a row, and the thing that I was most happy about was seeing how well my team did because once you got into like the later rounds, I'm like, I don't know who these guys are. I would go, I'm like, okay, this guy's fast. I need some stolen bases. So I grabbed Jose Reyes, And then I'm like, okay,
I did it one
yeah.
year and I was garbage at it. I did so bad.
But yeah, then I was like, why don't I just get a bunch of people who like just get on base a lot? And that's what I did. I looked at whoever had the highest on base percentage left, and boom, my teams were unstoppable. And I do like that whole process. And I never understood, like, if you can't get on base, what are you doing playing baseball? Like,
Yeah.
you see people who bat 270, no, 250,
Chris
and their
Davis.
on base percentage is like 260. Like, dude, get out of the league.
Chris Davis on the Orioles.
Chris Davis.
I just don't understand. Just a weird side, quick sidetrack. I just don't understand how the Orioles just never sent him down to the minor leagues. But we can talk about a different day. It's just this whole other thing.
Yeah, you couldn't send him down with that like awful contract. That just makes it look worse. What he started out last year,
I just have different
56?
feelings because I've seen articles about it before, and I kind of did support it a little bit. Between the Tigers and the Orioles, there's no. Why are they Major League Baseball teams? Why are they still Major League Baseball teams? They have done nothing in the past 5 years to make their team better. And don't get me wrong, the Tigers were really good, but they had a run in was it 11, 12, and 13 when they were good.
Yeah, when they had Cabrera and Fielder and Verlander and Scherzer.
But what happened to the Orioles? What happened to them?
The Orioles,
they don't try. They have an awesome ballpark.
I want to go to Camden so badly. But the thing with the Orioles is, you can't forget, like, what happened, like, the first half of the decade where they were right up there with the Yankees and Red Sox. Like, they were a scary team, but, I mean, they just couldn't beat the Yankees. And then 2 years ago, we couldn't beat the Orioles. The Yankees couldn't beat them. And, they're a team that they're not a big market team. They're not spending a ton of money, and they can't afford to spend so much money on certain players. Like,
they lost Machado.
Chris Davis regressed. Adam Jones, he's gone, right? I think
Adam Jones is on the Orioles. I don't think he still plays anymore.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's gone. And, they had this great young core, and they realized, okay, like, the door shut on them. They weren't going to get past the Yankees, especially after Sanchez and Judge.
Zach Britton used to be on that.
Zach Britton, yeah. And I remember Buck Showalter, he was pissed when who was the catcher now? Matt Wieters. When they had, I think it was Matt Wieters, that this was before Sanchez was a thing, but he came out, he was very against not having a salary cap in baseball. He goes, it's total BS that, we have this young stud catcher and, the Yankees are going to go and steal him from us by just giving him more money that we can't afford to do. And, that really sucks. And it's arguments like that really make you think, like, there should be a salary cap. And, I mean, when you see players getting $400 million, like, you need to put in a salary cap. But that's another conversation. But the Orioles, they're a solid team. And Detroit, I mean, they got the history on their side. And so does Baltimore.
Detroit has history. I think Orioles are still a long ways ahead.
The Orioles were a good team, like I said, in the early half of the decade. They had all the pieces. They had Brian Roberts. He was a solid second baseman. And, they're doing what the Astros did. And that's what all these teams are doing now. And you see it here. You see it in basketball. And it sucks. Like, it really makes the games, like, unwatchable, where you're just tanking. The Astros showed if you can tank for 3-4 years, you're going to get 3 or 4 young studs, and now you have a core. Basketball showed it. If the Sixers could tank for 5 years straight, and now they have Embiid and what the hell's his name? Ben Simmons and all these other players who are first overall picks, second, third, fourth overall picks. Now you have a solid core, and it's really ruined both leagues because it's not just the Orioles, it's the Tigers, it's Kansas City, it was Houston. It's all these teams that just we'll throw the white flag every other game.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. So I don't necessarily think that they shouldn't be MLB teams. It's MLB has to do something, and whether that means implementing a lottery for the draft or changing how the draft works or adding a salary cap or making a harsher luxury tax or something. And like MLB needs to step in. And the unfortunate thing is, they just redid their CBA and nothing changed. They didn't change anything with the draft. They didn't change anything for a salary cap. I didn't hear anything about a harsher penalty for the luxury tax. So it's just rough.
Yeah.
But
anyway, just before we wrap up the show, do you want to talk about the was it like the
10-year anniversary?
Yeah. Was it 10 years? Has it been 10 years?
Today's the 10-year anniversary of the perfect game that never was.
I think and I will consider for the rest of my life that it was a perfect game. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone says. Jim Joyce was wrong.
So 10 years ago today, Armando Galaraga, Detroit Lions, Detroit Tigers pitcher, pitched a perfect game for 8 2/3 innings of a game.
Yeah, he was out. That was the last out.
He threw a pitch. I forgot who the batter was. He grounded to the middle of first and second base. Miguel Cabrera ran over. I watched it again today. It was a really bad fielding play. Like he grabbed it, but he threw it to the left of Galaraga. So instead of throwing it in front of him, he had to reach back a little bit. And I think that's where Jim Joyce kind of got confused. But I mean, you watch the replay, and it's very clear. Galaraga got his foot down.
Close. No. It wasn't even close.
No, I love watching super slow-mo where you see Galaraga's foot's on the base and the other guy's foot is just coming off the dirt.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
I don't know how they just never overturned that call. I mean, that would have been the last out. It would have been the last out. He would have had a perfect game.
Yeah. And
even the person batting was like, dude, what are you doing?
And everybody knew it. Everybody knew it. I mean, the unfortunate thing is Jim Joyce got death threats after that, and people found his address, were sending him hate mail, and it was a bad time to be Jim Joyce. And he honestly believed that he was safe, and he never second-guessed himself until he went into the dugout after the game, and he watched the replay. And when he saw the replay, he broke down. Mm-hmm. He felt awful. How often is there a perfect game? Once every other season.
When was the last time it was a perfect game?
Exactly. They're few and far between. So Jim Joyce immediately regretted what he did after watching that, and it was really unfortunate that he had to go through that, and that Galaraga will never be given a perfect game. And, love the MLB. I love everything it stands for, but there's a lot that they have to change. Galaraga should have a perfect game.
He should. It should be in the history books that he does. Because the next it's not like after that he let 3 batters go. The next batter was an out.
Yeah. And, it's stuff like that. It's stuff like Pete Rose. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
That's something we need to talk about one day, too, is the whole fight between Pete Rose and how a lot of people believe he should be in the Hall of Fame, even though he gambled. But why do the Astros get to keep their World Series trophy? That's another topic for another day. Maybe possibly next week. I don't know. We gotta decide about next week later on. But continue.
Yeah, but I'll tip my hat to Galaraga. To me, to Nick, to the rest of the world,
to true baseball fans, man, you have that perfect game.
Yeah,
and that's that.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time. We'll be back this time again next week. Any questions, thoughts, or ideas, send them our way. We'd be more than happy to respond to any questions, and we would love all the feedback we can get. So check us out. We got Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter.
I'll shout out those hashtags. Actually, those will be at the end of the video. Our names for those platforms. They should be, during the video. I will have them pop up on the bottom too. Like he said, go follow us. Let us know what you think of the show. What you want to hear.
Tell your friends, your parents, your aunts, your uncles, your fish, your dog, your cat, whoever you can to get to listen to this. Listen to us. We would really appreciate it. And keep us in mind. We're here, and we can't wait for baseball just like everybody else.
Yep.
So we're hoping it's soon, and the sooner it comes back, the more we're going to have to talk about. So we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.